that my sorcerer in that epic level campaign we were going to do.
Yes.
It's probably what he would have brought to the table.
That would have been great.
Though he wasn't evil, technically.
Technically.
He was like, I guess he was like neutral evil, where it's like, no, not quite. I don't know.
Might have been like lawful neutral.
He was doing his best to do what he thought were good things, and he would resort to just about whatever means necessary to accomplish those good things.
I'm going to put you in lawful neutral.
Okay.
That's okay.
Sure.
Because you're like, I have a code.
Yeah.
That I am following.
I want to help people, but if that means that I have to, like, you know, sap the life force from the mayor until he's just like a dried husk of nothing, then that's what I'll do.
I fucking love freedom, and I'll kill as many men, women, and children as I have to achieve it. Or it's like, I love peace. I'm sorry. It's Peacemaker's line. It's so good.
My character was basically just the man from another place from Twin Peaks with a magic gun.
Hell yeah.
Justin was going to let me have bullets that I could shoot someone and it would cast a touch spell on them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I had like sleep bullets, so you'd shoot someone and then they'd be like, oh. Or you could like heal someone and be like, you take 1d4 damage. You heal 2d20. So it's just like, ow, oh.
I love that. Just like, fuck, oh.
I like that a lot.
It's also scary when that's arrows.
Yeah.
His Pathfinder campaign, my character's brother showed up, and he's just basically he's Inquisitor, but he's basically an archer sniper.
Mm-hmm.
But he does the thing where, he can heal by shooting arrows, which is horrifying, because you can't tell until it hits you.
You just see him point the arrow at you.
You're like, no, oh, okay.
I think that the most heinous thing I figured out how I could do as that sorcerer was, since he let me have pretty much all the necromantic spells, I could do like Cloud Kill in one spot and hold the concentration, and then one of the items I had let me hold a second concentration.
Nice.
And so I could twin spell Black Hole on either side of Cloud Kill and just have people stuck between two black holes in a Cloud Kill.
That's hilarious.
Right? Because they had to make like strength saving throws to move away from one of them.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was a pretty high DC. It was like, I want to say it was like 23 or something like that after all the modifiers and whatnot. Yeah.
It's crazy. I think I was building a trickster cleric for that, where it's like, I can heal, but also there's now 7 of me. Nice. And they can all cast touch spells.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is cool. Also horrifying.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, how do you handle that in the battle? Sarah, here's 6 pink tokens. Those are your other U's.
Yeah, we would have all been monsters.
Yeah.
It would have been we would have caused problems.
Somebody let us run as players in a game for you. I feel like we're going to be delightful.
Speaking of delightful, hi, and welcome to Blank Bodies. Vampire the Masquerade, V5. Tabletop and horror podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and as always, I'm joined by
John
and
Sarah.
That was very concise this time. The intro's been getting long lately.
Yeah, we've been. I think
you gotta keep them on their toes. You never know what you're gonna get.
That's that. I think we're also just still a little tired from the corn tubbening.
I'm not cold anymore.
That's true.
That's not true. I'm always cold.
The fucking tub.
I'm still cleaning the house.
Yeah, well,
that's what happens when you let Corn Man loose.
I found Corn Baby's head the other day.
You found Corn Baby's head?
I finally found it.
Oh, God. Well, thank you, everybody that helped us participate in doing the silly thing, and
thanks for hanging out with us while we did it.
I'm very tired, but, it's fine.
It was a great time.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Sorry the audio was weird. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we're
next
learning.
Time, I guess. If there's a next time.
Yeah, we haven't come up with an idea silly enough to unleash it upon the masses, but it'll probably come naturally right when we don't expect it. So
yeah, organic
we have the giraffe
stupidity.
Tier where we rent a giraffe from the zoo.
Oh God. Speaking of organic, no, please no. I don't.
Fine.
But speaking of organic, we're going to be talking about blood.
Organic blood.
Mm-hmm.
Most is
not that GMO blood.
Well, I have fun facts about that, actually.
If the blood comes from a test tube baby, does that count as non-organic?
I don't know if I have answers for that. But, so this episode we're going to be talking about blood. So, fun kind of info about blood, because, we're playing a vampire game. Everybody be drinking it. But what is it? How is it? Where is it?
It's kind of coppery.
Yeah.
It's in your veins.
It is.
And your arteries.
Oh, my God.
And if it's in your lungs, you have a problem.
That is... There's portions of the lungs they're supposed to be in, and there's other portions where they should not be.
Yeah.
Because then you're drowning.
You shouldn't have blood there.
Yeah. So.
How is it?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of copper.
I hope it's doing pretty well.
Doing pretty all right.
I hope.
Okay. Well, so mild content warning. We are going to be talking about medical facts, discussions of bodily functions and fluids, discussions of decomposition, and what I'm calling adventurous food.
Yay. I already know where that's going.
Yay.
I'm excited. Pudding.
Pudding!
You British fuck.
Or sausage.
You British fuck. Anyways, I'm from there. I can talk shit.
I just do it anyway.
Yeah. Low-key, I'm not against British slander, because most of it is deserved, so it's fine.
Boop, boop,
Boop, boop, boop. Sources for this episode come from the University of Pennsylvania, the American Cancer Society, the American Red Cross, Crash Course, Neoterics Microsampling, the Florida State University, Healthline, and the National Institute of Health, and the V5 Core Book.
Hell yeah.
I did the research on the silly episode.
Yay.
This was supposed to be a light one. It's still pretty light, but, you know, science is
I feel like
cool.
blood's pretty heavy.
It is.
Like by volume, you know?
Yeah. You're not wrong.
It's heavier than water.
Yeah. So starting off, what is blood?
Cells.
It is. Blood is actually considered a connective tissue because it is living cells suspended in a non-living material.
And that's what makes it a connective tissue?
Mm-hmm.
My blood is tissue?
Yes.
Can I blow my nose real quick, dude?
Yeah.
No. Gross.
Oh, I see. Where
This
that's going.
makes me wonder...
You're just a phlegmy boy, so I thought you legitimately needed to blow your nose.
No, I wouldn't ask him for permission, though.
That's fair.
It's connective tissue.
Yes.
Tissue.
Yeah, like how we have muscle tissue, skin tissue.
That means as a meat he could sculpt blood.
Yeah. There's also rules for Tremere to do that, too.
That's neat.
Yeah, it's nifty. But yeah, so we have whole blood, which is a mixture of cells, cell fragments, water, and dissolved molecules. This is basically the fresh juice from the tap. When you're thinking of somebody bleeding, it is whole blood.
Whole blood?
Yes.
That's not like 2%?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much yes. Blood can be separated into parts called blood products.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. There are three major components of blood. There's the erythrocytes, which is red blood cells. The red donut-looking
Handy little guys.
little buddies. Your erythrocytes carry oxygen around the body, and they make up 45% of your blood by volume.
That's a lot of it.
That's most of it.
That's a good chunk, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Nearly half.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Red blood cells form in your bone marrow in a process called hematopiosis.
Hematopiosis.
I wrote this script ahead of time and was really proud of myself, and then I gave myself enough space to forget how to say all these medical words.
Yeah.
So we're going to listen to me struggle.
Hematopio, sis.
Girl. Yeah. But yeah, these red blood cells have a membrane, but lack a nucleus and most other cell parts.
So they're barely a cell.
They're barely a cell, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. They do form with a nucleus and DNA when they initially form in your bone marrow, but when they mature, they yeet all of that shit out to make room for more hemoglobin.
Huh.
Interesting.
Thanks, little dudes.
Yeah. Every red blood cell is 97% hemoglobin.
That's a lot of hemoglobin.
It is. Yeah. Which is a molecule that is super good at moving oxygen around. That's all it fucking does. The iron, which is the heme portion of these molecules, is what makes your blood red.
Thanks, iron.
Mm-hmm.
I recently found out, actually, because I did the math, and you get I forget specifically how many grams, but the average male body does not have very many grams of iron in it, and you have to have 285 male bodies and to be able to get enough iron to forge an average size rapier.
That's pretty metal.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah. A typical red blood cell will last about 120 days in your body because it takes a lot of damage scooting booting around in all your blood vessels, especially when it goes through your capillaries, because unfortunately some of your capillaries are narrower than the red blood cell, so it's literally like shoving a oxygen-filled inner tube through a hole that's too small.
I feel that.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't think I'd ever feel like I related so much to a red blood cell.
Just like, oh, he's working so hard.
Yeah, get it, buddy.
But yeah, when these blood cells reach the end of their life cycle, they're taken apart and recycled by microphage white blood cells. So it's like big white blood cells. And they break them down into components. Most of this will happen around the spleen, which is referred to as the red blood cell graveyard.
Spleens are cool.
Spleens are cool.
The red blood cell graveyard. Is that anything like an elephant graveyard?
Kinda. An elephant passes, like the little troop of elephants will hang around and like do mourning, and they'll come back and visit. But I don't think they carry the bones to a specific place most of the time.
No, they don't carry the bones. Maybe it's old, outdated information, but I know a lot of times older elephants, when they start to like not be feeling so well, they would like wander off on their own.
Yeah.
And it was thought that they would migrate to certain
They might.
types of areas.
I don't have
I
the
was just
research.
talking about the section of the prairie that the light doesn't touch. So Simba and Mufasa, they're not the kings of that.
That's a terrible thing to say about Gary, Indiana. I've been seeing that meme for years, and every time that scene comes up in Lion King, that's all I could think of. It's just like, oh no.
Oh no.
I do like Gary, though. It's nice every time I've been.
Yeah, people are cool.
I've only been there once, and I didn't get off the bus because I wasn't feeling very well. And they opened the door, and it just smelled like someone literally took a shit in the doorway.
It's a bus
I think that's more
station.
of the bus station, really.
Probably. but I
That's
was
the
just like,
Greyhound
I'll just-
experience. Human feces.
That was the only one the whole time that it actually smelled like human feces outside of the bus. Like there was a couple times somebody turded in the bus that it was just no good. But
Ah, okay. Well, the next layer in blood is called the Buffy coat.
the Buffy coat,
Yeah.
is that what protects it?
Kinda,
from
yeah.
all the demons and vampires and monsters of the world?
Yeah. Insert Nerf herder song here. But no, the Buffy coat has the leukocytes, which is your white blood cells, which are the ones that defend your body from infections and toxins. It's part
That's-
of your immune system.
Right. I guess I didn't realize that the white blood cells were part of the red blood cells.
Yeah.
I thought they just kind of hung out like with the red blood cells.
Oh no, they do when it's like whole blood, but yeah, it's all kind of jumbled up.
Oh,
in
when
there.
you're taking it apart.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
We're
like
talking
when you
about different
spin
parts of blood. When
blood
you
to
spin it.
separate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, because when you spin blood, you get the red blood cells are the heaviest, so they're the bottom of the tube, and then you get this thin little white layer, and that's what the Buffy coat is.
Gotcha.
So it's made out of leukocytes, which is the white blood cells, and then platelets, which help with clotting.
It's kind of what
Hell
skin-
yeah, platelets. Good job, guys.
Doing your bit.
It's kind of what skin.
What?
That's what all I had to add there. Platelets. It's kind of like skin.
Kinda.
Not
Eh.
quite, but kinda.
Yeah.
It's kind of like glue.
It's literally
Meat glue.
it's literally
glue.
a
Isn't that just
two-part epoxy compound, but I get into that later.
Okay.
But yeah, and then the rest of your blood is plasma, which is yellowish fluid that's about 90% water, and the rest of it is made up of proteins, hormones, electrolytes, gases, and waste products.
Do you think there could be like a feeding restriction where you can only drink plasma?
You could.
It would be very hard.
You'd have to have Bagger.
Yeah, you'd have to have Bagger, you'd have to have Iron Gullet, but you could, if you really wanted to, for reasons I don't understand.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, you'd have to have like at least a dot and like some sort of science to be able to separate it or know what you're getting.
Or a contact at a blood bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and plasma makes up 55% of your blood by volume.
How
So,
much?
55. Yeah, the Buffy coat is a very, very thin, like hardly any amount of it, but you do see it when you spin it.
Spin.
Yeah, blood itself, whole blood, makes up to 8 to 10% of your body weight.
Nice.
Less than I thought.
Yeah,
Cool.
but yeah, it's good to know. So if
Good
you want to
job,
know how much of your weight is blood, just it's 8 to 10% of you is just fluid.
Oh, there's more fluid than that in me.
You are phlegmy though.
I've been drinking water.
That's true. There's also the water. But yeah, blood infamously is known to come in types.
Ooh.
Ooh. There are 4 basic blood types. There is A, B, AB, and O.
AB.
AB. And that is split up into 8 major groups, which can further be subdivided into 35 subgroups, but I'm not getting into that. I went down that research hole and I'm like, no.
Once I accidentally got into a hole because in Japan they use blood types kind of like we use like star signs.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why like a lot of RPGs will ask your character's blood type because they have like personality traits assigned to all the different blood types and stuff. It's really interesting.
I don't know my blood type. Shit.
We could
I should
actually
figure that
we
out.
can actually get little kids and figure that. Let
That'd
us
be
know
fun.
if you want us to blood type ourselves.
Hey, my blood weighs 7.5 pounds.
The blood
Kilos.
Is it 7.5 kilos or pounds?
Kilos.
Kilos. Okay.
Why do you know your weight in kilos?
Because we have a shipping scale at work, and that's the only time I ever weigh myself.
Okay. that
There you
makes
go.
sense.
That's fair. Fuck buying a scale.
Probably about 6 pounds blood.
Oh.
I'm about 60 pounds. I'm a little guy.
He's actually a gnome. A very tall gnome.
Yeah, just little does everybody know that he's actually just standing on a stool during every episode we record with like a little conical hat.
Real big boots.
Mm-hmm. Got those Ron DeSantis boots.
He ripped me off.
That is fair. All cells in the body have antigens, which is a specialized glycoprotein that helps cells identify that they belong to your body.
Thanks,
Yeah.
blood.
Yeah.
Because
So
you don't want to you don't want blood from other bodies.
exactly. So your body is aware of the antigens that you have. So if something shows up that doesn't have the right antigens, it is removed with prejudice.
Yeah, it gets kind of violent in there.
Unless you're someone like me who has an autoimmune disorder where your immune system goes, attack everything. All problem, all time, go. And that causes problems.
It gets kind of violent in there, too.
It do.
Probably more so.
Disrespect your surroundings.
Bum, bum.
Yep, that's my body. Red blood cells have only 2 types of antigens, and they're called agglutinogens. Agglutinogens.
I love it.
I said it. Yes. All right. These can activate antibodies to force invading cells to clump together, which is what causes your body the blood to coagulate.
I want to make a Malkavian character who is all about, like, solidifying the web and call him whatever that word was. Agglutinogen.
Yeah.
That'll just be what he calls himself. I'm agglutinogen.
Oh, is it Greek? Bless you.
You can just call me Ag.
Or Lou.
Yeah, or Lou.
Yeah, I love that. But yeah, so with these antigens on the red blood cells, you get 2 types, A and B. So you can have A or B, a combo, A and B, or none, which is where O comes in.
Which is why O are universal donors.
But they can only take O.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also...
So,
oh, go ahead.
Type O can take only O, but can give O to anyone.
Yes.
What about type O negative?
I'm actually getting into that.
Oh, I was just going to ask.
There's the rhesus antigen, which is a subtype
Type of monkey, right?
Yeah, that was where this phenomenon was first noticed, was in rhesus monkeys, which is why it's called the rhesus antigen.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
I thought it was because Reese cups.
No, it's
Spelled
different
a little
Reese's.
different.
Yeah.
I see that now that I'm looking at the notes again.
you just want peanut butter snack.
Love it.
But yeah, the rhesus antigen is a sub-protocol that can affect how the blood will react. Thus, gives us Rh positive, Rh negative, which is where you get A negative, B positive, blah, 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 blah.
Nice.
Yeah. I also found a fun fact. So horses have 7 basic blood groups, A, C, D, K, P, Q, and U.
Why?
That I don't know, but it gets wilder. They also have membrane proteins that are factors like the rhesus, except their factors are A, B, C, D, E, F, or G, which means horses can have up to 400,000 different blood groups.
So if a horse needs a blood transfusion, that's going to be kind of expensive.
Yeah.
Horses are expensive all around.
Yeah, horses are expensive all around, and the equine page I found with this fact, because I was just researching blood groups, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
The equine page I found was just like, yeah, more times than not, if you have a horse that needs a blood transfusion, you just kind of get close and hope.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, there's so many different blood types, the odds of you finding, like, a perfect match are very low.
Right.
So you just kind of, like, get close and go,
Hopefully it works.
hopefully it works.
That's wild.
Right? I was just like, that's bananas. So anybody who wants to eat horses, I guess, is going to have a very interesting palate for vampire.
That is true. That's a lot of flavors.
Yeah, right?
I wonder how many are just, like, really close to the same thing. You know, like a lot of snakes taste a lot like chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like if it was like I don't know, KB
negative.
Yeah, KB negative. Is it really that much different than a KB positive or a KC negative?
You could say the same thing about wine. It's
Yeah.
all red wine.
Right.
I mean, once you get past the $30 mark,
Right.
So, blood. How is it used?
Like in the body?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, within the body, blood is used to transport organs. Organs?
Organs?
No, I misspoke.
It's in organs.
It is in organs. I misspoke, guys.
I have organ trade in my body.
Yeah, it transports oxygen,
Oh.
hormones, nutrients, and waste around the body.
Thanks, blood.
Yeah, it also maintains your body temperature, your pH levels, and the volume of fluids in your body.
That makes sense that a fluid would control the fluid.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's just, parts of your body go, I don't have enough water. And the blood's like, all right, more water. But all sorts of stuff.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah. It's a nifty system. It also prevents infections and the loss of blood itself through a process called hemostasis.
Hemostasis.
Yes. So, when you have a bleed of any kind, a rupture in a blood vessel, the first thing that happens is the blood vessel will constrict to try and lessen the blood flow. And then the platelets that have been suspended all in the blood, just kind of chilling, will start to collect at the wound site. And the way this works is actually fascinating because all of my life, everything has been like, yeah, your platelets just stick together and then it causes a clot and then you heal. And I'm like, no, that's not actually how that works.
Yeah, it's like skin.
Yeah, well, no, what happens is actually kind of cooler. So when you rip a blood vessel, there's actually collagen fibers in your veins that like become loose and frayed, and then they combine with the platelets to actually form the clot.
Interesting. So it's collagen thread and platelet making skin.
Yeah. And as the wound is healing, the collagen threads will actually like pull the wound together to like close it more fully.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then once the wound is closed up with the collagen, they're called fibrin threads. But yeah, once that is closed up, the clot will dissolve and everything just keeps on trucking.
That's so sick.
Yeah, right? It's like bodies are cool.
Thanks, blood.
And then that...
Flood.
What?
What? Never mind.
Yeah, that's why, like,
So
if you have blood that's just out of the body,
Yeah.
it doesn't really clot like you get, like, scabs.
Mm-hmm.
It will congeal, but that's because the antigens in the blood are, like, trying to collect itself. But it's not really forming a clot because there's not, like, platelets and collagen fibers.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. This was just fun to learn
Scab
about.
comes off, you got skin again.
Yeah, and muscle and other things.
And yeah, kind of whatever is there.
Because we are meat.
We
The body is meat.
exist in a state of meat.
We exist in a state of meat. Oh my god. I mean, it's true. But yeah, for medical uses, the United States uses roughly 16 million pints, which is 7.6 million liters of blood annually for various medical situations.
Is that approximately the pint intake of the average Scottish man?
I shouldn't have laughed like that. It's kind of not wrong, but...
So we use almost double the amount of blood per year as we do of corn.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. More
Yeah.
blood than corn.
More blood than corn.
Never thought I'd learn this fact.
Oh, God. Just...
America runs on blood.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Oh, no.
In many ways.
Oh, no.
That's a different episode.
Oh,
We've done that one before, and we shall do it
We
again.
will do it. We'll do it more. But yeah, blood is one of the few body parts medical science has not been able to reproduce, synthesize, or imitate.
There's
blood
a lot
is
going
special.
on.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff going on in blood, and it's hard to recreate. So, despite what True Blood says, nope,
Not yet.
nope. That's one of the ones we really can't figure out. It's like blood and neural tissue, so like brains. Two of the big things that scientists like we can't do it. Fuck.
We're not making them synthetically, but we can grow them together.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's all sorts of crazy shit with 3D printing organs, and then also doing the thing where they take an organ, they strip all of the cells out of it, and they leave like the collagen shell, and they refill it with the donor's correct cells.
That's wild.
It's so cool. They first started practicing it with like grapes, so you had like a ghost grape.
Yeah, that's why they did surgery on a grape.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you heard they did surgery on a grape.
I did hear. Yeah. There's actually, I've watched a couple of videos of, I don't know what the machines are actually called. I call them the surgery spiders.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a video of one of those robots doing surgery on
Like
a grape.
peeling the skin off the grape.
You with a scalpel?
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
I was like, science is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we know why they did surgery on a grape.
Nice.
Yeah.
High five.
Go
Hell
team.
yeah. But yeah, donate blood. Once you donate blood, you should donate blood if you can.
They won't let me.
I can't because I was in Britain during the foot and mouth pandemic. I can donate plasma though.
I can't donate because I had tuberculosis.
Oh.
I can't because I am illegally allowed to take stimulants.
Oh yeah, I've got stimulants too,
So
I guess.
we would be good citizens, but we literally cannot for medical reasons.
Too many uppers.
But
Prescribed.
if you can safely donate blood, you should do that.
Yeah.
When you do, the donated blood is taken to a lab to be tested for infections and to be separated into blood products.
Or sold to the local vampire.
Potentially. But
whatever you think's hotter, whatever helps you.
whatever gets you
one's-
through it.
Whatever makes you want to give people blood.
Exactly.
If it's feeding your local vampire, get to it, bud.
Or there might be there could be like a cutie nurse at the
It's the
phlebotomy
truth.
center.
Yeah.
I've seen them. They're hotties.
I thought you said lobotomy center and not phlebotomy center.
I mean,
first.
they could be hotties there too.
There could be hotties at the lobotomy center.
Go get lobotomized.
Meet
Message from
yourself a
Blank
hottie.
Buzz.
Girl, sometimes I wish I could, but then I remember I really just need a nap.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that foot and mouth is keeping you away from that lobotomy. It's sad.
I know, it's so sad. Got shakes fist at Brenton. But yeah, part of the reason with the blood being separated into blood products means one donation can be stretched further because different medical conditions only really need certain parts of the blood actually. So it makes the blood go further.
Yay!
So hooray! But as we said before, the blood is separated by you spin it real fast in a thing called a centrifuge.
It's like that ride at the fair that looks like a saucer.
We just called it the mixer.
Oh yeah, we always had it.
We had the UFO one.
It's called the UFO or the flying saucers. What they always called.
Yeah, there's always just that one guy that you're just like, he probably shouldn't be operating this ride.
The guy who always stands up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I got this, and I'm like, sorry, I think he's been spun too much. But if this is your life and you're cool with it, good on
He
you.
gets to DJ inside the UFO. I think he's got a perfect life.
Actually, yeah, he's kind of probably living his best.
Everybody fucking in a UFO.
Everybody living now. I once almost threw up in one of those UFOs because I drank a full-size lemon shake-up and had a piece of, it wasn't a piece, like a quarter of an elephant ear.
Oh.
Then I got on that ride and I was like,
Too much
yeah.
sugar.
And I tried to sit up.
You almost got separated like blood.
I did. Yeah.
All your
My
red
brain
blood-
got separated from my blood. And it was like, nah, bud. Lay the fuck back down.
Yeah. But yeah. Most of the time, blood is separated into blood products once it's donated, though portions of it will be kept as whole blood, because whole blood transfusions are for emergencies, like when you're in a car accident, or you put your hand in a paper shredder,
Or
various other problems.
You drop a chainsaw on yourself.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
Yes.
You say that implying that someone would do that on purpose.
No.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Why would we?
How are we on cybernetic limb advancements?
Not where you want it to be.
Nowhere
Okay.
near you want it to be. No.
We're getting there, but no.
But,
All right.
Yeah.
Just curious.
It's not worth the trade-off.
Not at all related, but curious.
He's robo-curious. But yeah. So, red blood cell transfusions are often used to treat anemia, which is a result of either low iron, low B12, or various forms of cancers that keep your body from doing the heme correctly.
Doing the heme.
Yeah.
That sounds like a dance.
It do.
Let's do the heme.
These transfusions can also be given before, during, or after a surgery if your blood counts are low. So they can just kind of juice you. It's like, the red blood counts are bad. Just put more in there.
Just bloop it in.
Just gloop it in there. Platelet transfusions are usually given when bone marrow is not making enough platelets for various reasons, often cancer. Plasma transfusions, so the yellow goop,
Yellow goop.
Yellow goop.
Yellow goop.
are typically given when the body isn't forming clots correctly. There is a process called cryoprecipitate transfusions that use the parts of plasma that separate when you freeze plasma, so it's like condensed, like super thick plasma where it's more of the goodies and less of the water.
Dehydrating it.
Yeah, they dehydrating it. And this allows for the clotting factor of plasma to be given basically with less volume of fluids. And this is often given to patients that have what is called decimated intravascular coagulations, which is when their body has used up all of their clotting proteins and you can't form clots anymore.
Oh, that's
Fucking wild.
Yeah!
That's rough.
So they can just be like, we're just going to pour more platelets in you. Like, when you're doing battle in Skyrim and your health's fucked, so you just eat, you just slam 12 cabbages and just pray and get through the combat?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Sick.
We're just going to fill them full of
Except in a
cabbage.
shot.
Except in an IV bag, but yeah.
I love it.
Science is cool. How blood is stored depends on how it's going to be used or tested. This was
Also who you are.
Also who you are. This was also just a weird rabbit hole I went down, and I'm trying to save you guys hours of just me going insane.
Sometimes you keep it in the fridge.
You do, actually.
Hell yeah.
Once the body, just a frame of reference, so once blood not refrigerated, once the body has stopped functioning, your cells will begin to break down in a process called autolysis, which is like self-digestion.
Of the cell?
Mm-hmm.
The cell digests itself?
Yes.
So it's like the cell is starving.
Yes.
Huh.
And eventually the processes will break down so much, and also lack of oxygen, the cells will also start to explode, which will further the process of necrosis and putrefaction. I know way too much about decomp, guys. Hi.
Do the red blood cells swell before they explode?
Kinda.
Kind of like a deer on the side of the road?
Kinda, yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
That's also combined with the deer has like a lot of gases
and
from
shit,
the
yeah.
breakdown and
Yeah,
stuff in it.
which is a little bit further in the process than what I'm talking about right now. So when you're in the early stages of death, there is the process called livor mortis, which is where your body settles to the bottom of wherever you're happening to be laying or sitting due to gravity.
Mm-hmm. You get big bruising and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's much harder to see if you have more melanin content, but it is present. It's just doing the test where you poke the body and see how much of the bruise is displaced, called blanching, is harder to do on melanated people.
Named after Blanche from the Golden Girls.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the process of livor mortis can take 2 to 4 hours to show the purplish like bruising, and basically becomes clotted and or fixed between 8 to 12 hours, roughly.
Okay.
So yeah, how quickly blood will dry when it's not in a body and it's just loose will depend on a lot of factors like temperature, humidity, airflow, surface area, and so on.
What kind of mood it's in?
Oh God, it's
Just some
I
moody
fell.
blood.
I found a thread of forensic scientist, like college student, like lecture notes that I just went down, and I was like, I should share this with the class, and now I'm just like, that's gonna make this a whole 3-hour episode.
Oh.
So I'm just condensing this too. Forensic scientists do have a lot of charts to help estimate times for like how quickly blood dries and how it's going to interact with surfaces and stuff. If you really need to know, just you can Google it. It exists. You can find it.
So my question on this, I sneaked a little ahead and I didn't see it come up. So if you're a vampire and you like to drink the juices, how long do you have from killing someone to when you can't drink it anymore?
Yeah. So basically, you can kind of, for game purposes, play this by fluff a little bit. But there is a thing in lore that vampires have to be drinking living blood. And this can kind of range from, I would say, like 15 minutes to 2 hours from when it's pulled and removed from the body. Because at 15 minutes, once blood is removed, the cells will start dying and start the autolysis process. So
you'd either have to drink it within 2 hours, or I'm sure it's coming up in the script, do something to it that prevents that from starting like bag blood.
Exactly. So, sources I found at the American Red Cross have said that blood can remain blood bank shelf stable for up to 6 weeks, but it begins losing its effectiveness to transport oxygen within the body at about the 3-week mark. So it's like perfectly chill for 3 weeks, and then it's kind of and then after 6 weeks, it's basically useless.
Interesting.
So if you want to keep that as like a rough note for games, cool. If not, and you don't want to worry about that kind of logistics, don't worry about it. Live blood cells start losing viability within 2 days once they're like removed from the body. But you know, that also includes factors like refrigeration at that point.
Yeah.
So no refrigeration, I would say give it 15 minutes to 2 hours. With refrigeration, you got like a couple of days. It's kind of like fresh salad.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like, you keep it a couple of days in the fridge. It's fine. There are certain tests that can be run on blood within several days of up to a month with refrigeration. And prolonged use beyond that is recommended to freeze your samples within liquid nitrogen.
Damn.
So if you're having characters that are doing experimentations on blood, so your Tremors, Meatsy, Thin Bloods, possibly Hakata characters, like this might be notes of like reining in character fuckery, if that's something you need to do or care about. Where it's like, okay, I see what you're doing. How are you storing this? Like, where is this going?
Right.
Like, what are you
doing? Or
doing?
if you are taking your players into someone's, we'll call it a study, and they have a weird contraption that has liquid nitrogen or something like that, maybe there's something interesting in that.
Maybe. Might be doing tests. Because anybody's got a centrifuge in their place for reasons.
Yeah.
You're just like,
You should probably ask a couple questions.
Yeah. But other use for blood that I thought was interesting was culinary.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum. Sometimes normal people just eat blood.
Sometimes.
As a food.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, I know so many people who cook meat, and then basically the blood cells escape the meat into the pan. They're like, yeah, and then I cook the potato in it. It's pretty common.
Yeah, there's people that do that. I The first one I shared was there's various cultures all over the world that produce blood sausages, or what is known as black pudding. There are so many countries that do their own version of this. I wasn't going to specifically point out the British, but that's the one I have the most.
That's the one I was making fun of you for.
Yeah, you should. I've grown up with black pudding. I enjoy it. But, you know, when you grow up around it, they don't tell you when you're a kid what the fuck it really is. And then you get older and you're just like, what?
You've been making me eat blood this whole time.
And then you made fun of me for being into goth shit. I'm in a land where there's no sun and everybody's upsetty spaghetti all the time. Like, okay. So, there is that. Other forms of blood food, you can get blood soup or stew. This exists in various cultures. There is the infamous black soup from ancient Sparta. There's the Schwarzer Sauer from Germany, frittata in Mexico, and the saksang from Indonesia are various forms of blood soup or stews.
Ooh, frittata.
Frittata, though, kind of slaps. Blood can also be used to thicken sauces, like in the coq au vin from France.
In the what now?
Coq au vin.
Coq au vin.
Mm-hmm.
Coq au vin.
I'm sorry, I studied French and I can say things correctly.
I think you used too many letters.
There
you go.
I took 1 year of every language because I said to get the honors degree you had to take 3 years of language, but they didn't say of a language. So I learned how to count in 3 different languages.
There you go.
And by third year, everyone's like, finals like, all right, you have to have a conversation with the teacher for 5 minutes in all language. And every year was like, all right, 1, 2, but in a different language each time.
I'm so proud of you, honestly, though. Fuck them.
Now I can't talk to anybody.
Amazing.
But I can order cake in German.
Nice.
I can go to a library in Mexico and I can count in French.
I used to be conversational in French, but, you know, I stayed in this part of the Americas, so nobody speaks French, so it's, like, kind of fallen out. But I've realized if I spend, like, a couple of weeks, like, redoing things, I can get back to being conversational, which is weird.
1, 2, 3.
4, 5, 6.
It's about where I run.
Yep, that's it.
Yep.
I can count to 6.
That's weak news. Anyways,
oh, we got to 9.
Ah, shit. As part of a feast preparation for what is known as die Snolter. I think I said that right. I have no fucking idea.
I think you did it right.
Blood from the slaughtered pig as part of the feast preparations will be fried with onions and sausage for breakfast in Hungary.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a whole big festival thing where like you slaughter the pig and you spend the whole day cooking it, but then you start with blood breakfast. And I was just like, that's pretty metal.
Yeah.
So they use other pre-prepared sausage and then mix it with the fresh blood and onions.
Yeah, like the blood and onions, like a big chunk of it, and you can throw in like other breakfast sausage or paprika and a bunch of other shit. It sounds dope as fuck, honestly.
I'd give it a shot.
Yeah. There's also blood tofu, which is coagulated blood that is served either on sticks, in soup, or in hot pots in China and various parts of Southeast Asia. I haven't had this one yet.
Do you think it counts as vegan?
No.
It's blood.
It's tofu.
It's blood tofu.
But there's blood in it.
It's completely blood. It's all that is in there. It's just blood that's been, like, let to congeal into, like, thick slabs, and then they cut it up like tofu.
So it's not tofu mixed with blood.
No.
It's just blood
It's
that's
just
made
blood.
into cubes.
Yeah, it's just blood that looks like tofu. It's just congealed blood. That's all it is.
I'm not saying I wouldn't try it.
Yeah.
But I've had enough, like, congealed blood in my mouth that I don't like that idea.
I've found there's a lot of textures in Southeast Asian cuisines that Westerners are not used to, and it really squicks us out. It doesn't bother me as much, which I always find very funny, because I will order pho, like the old school grandma way, where it has like organs and tendons and stuff in it. And the one place I order it from, every time I order it and they see my honky ass walk in and they go, "Are you sure you ordered the right pho?" And I went, "Yeah, I know I did."
So you have to tell them, it's okay, I'm Scottish.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
I'm like, organ meat is our national dish. Like, ma'am, this is fine. I just wanted to make sure there's chilies on it. John looks so upset.
I'm still just thinking about the texture of a slab of clotted blood.
We could probably get it.
Congealed blood. The thing is, I don't want to get it, because I'm probably going to have like a bite and be like, all right, I've had it.
Maybe next year we can have you try a bunch of blood foods.
Blood, corn,
there's nothing.
Blood, corn, blood,
Stop
corn.
it!
There's nothing more goth than eating blood food.
That's true.
God, I'm gonna vomit.
It's either...
We're gonna have a vomit bucket.
We're gonna have a blood mukbang.
Because you can't have that much blood without throwing up.
If
Look,
you do, you'll throw
there's
up
only
blood.
There's
That'd be kinda
only two things that you can drink as a goth that are goth as fuck. One of them is blood, and the other one is cold brew coffee with absinthe in it.
What about Vine?
What the fuck is Vine?
You know wine.
Oh.
How Dracula say it in that movie.
Yeah, but like suburban house moms also drink wine. And
Yeah.
we've also used to do the thing where we passed around the bag of wine.
Oh yeah, slap a bag.
Yeah.
You telling me some like a pack of Brewha Anarchs wouldn't play slap bag with a bag of blood?
They totally would, though.
There you go.
There you go. Continuing on. Certain cultures will consume blood as a foodstuff just on its own as it is. Examples of this are seal blood within the Inuit or cow blood among the Maasai, the Bahima, and the Herero in Africa. Where they just are like, blood, cup, drink. That's it. No other steps.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like, I've seen it in documentaries with the Inuit, but that's like part of like the seal hunt, but they do the very traditional thing where all of the seal is used, and they mean literally all of the seal.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, oh, okay.
That's good.
Good for you guys. Cool chin tattoo. A lot of them have pretty sick chin tattoos. But yeah. And on the flip side, there are certain cultures that find the consumption of blood at all to be taboo and a problem. Example I have is the Igbo Nigeria tend to find eating any food that can be seen as bloody or undercooked as distasteful, and they just won't fucking do it. So sushi out of the question.
Oh.
Any kind of a semi-rare steak, no.
Weird.
Will not do it.
Wild.
Slightly more spicy takes. Abrahamic faiths tend to view the practice of eating blood as taboo, particularly within Islam, Judaism, and Eastern Orthodox Christianity. It is, non-kosher, haram. Do not. They have whole butcher shops specifically on how to process meats. So blood and other not okay substances are involved in those processes.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, going to a halal or kosher butcher, though, is pretty sick. Like, the food from there usually slaps.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Quality shit.
Yeah, it's some quality fucking shit. Small note. Those Christian denominations that practice the Eucharist do believe that they consume within the communion the literal flesh and blood of Christ. So all blood is bad except for this one time we do it where it's super cool.
It's because it's Jesus' blood.
Yeah. Which I'm not going to get super into, but
he consented.
There. He consented. Did he, though?
Kind of.
Did he, though?
Isn't that part?
Eventually he
Isn't
did
that
say,
a whole
like,
part
yeah.
of the Last Supper? He's like,
he had like the tribulations. He went out to the desert for like
Yeah.
however long and was like, God, why the fuck are you doing this
It's
to
like-
me? I thought I was your man. And God's like, yeah, you're my man, but like these homies are important. And then Jesus is like, I don't want to. And then he's like, I'm your father. Do what I say. And Jesus is like, you know what? You're probably right.
You're right, Dad. Dad, who's also me.
Yeah.
And I am he. It's like, Jesus arguing with God is honestly one of the most Jewish things.
Yeah.
Honestly, though. But it's very... I didn't grow up in a particularly Christian house. So these concepts to me are just kind of wild and interesting. Mm-hmm. But I feel like getting into the efficacy and the seriousness of the Eucharist is it's going to be its own fucking episode that's probably going to get us canceled. So we're going to skip that for now.
It also very much depends on like where you are and what specific denominations and branches of it. Because some of it is like, we are eating bread. This bread symbolizes the body. Yeah. And some are like, the bell rings and it actually turns into flesh.
Yeah, well, there's also like, oh god, I also fell down a rabbit hole of the conglomerate that makes most of the Eucharist wafers. Like that whole situation is crazy. There's some people that like make their own Jesus cakes. Sometimes it is just cake. Sometimes it's not.
I went to a really small church as a kid, and there's just like a lady at the church who's like, "No, I bake bread,
same
fresh every week." And
which like that's delightful.
They actually gave the kids wine at that one. It was like a little shooter of wine. It didn't. Yeah, as a kid, you're like, that tastes bad.
Have you seen the Eucharist to go?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's fun. Didn't we hang out with some church people that just had a bag of them and we just had them for a while? Because it's like a little like almost Jell-O shooter party cup where there's like the little spooch of like the worst wine, and then on the other side of the snack pack is like the tiniest little shit cracker.
They like linked together, so there was like one little thing.
Yeah,
right?
so you can pull the top on one side, have your little Jesus wafer, and you pull the other side, and you get your little like go-gurt of wine sip. Mm-hmm. It was just weird. So yeah, there's that whole thing. Just I'm bathed in his blood. Oh god, the amount of time people have said that to me. It's so upsetting. But the other fun rabbit hole I went down, but this could be its own fucking thing later. There were various Christian cults. The example that I found that was really interesting was the cult around Thomas Becket in 12th century England. What they would do is drink mixes of water and the remains of martyr blood, and they referred to the substance as the water of St. Thomas.
Brutal. Love it.
And it caused a bunch of consternation amongst the Christians because, you know, they're like, it's too close to the actual Eucharist and this feels sacrilege and golden cowy, and we're not about that. And then other parts of the groups were like, yeah, but Jesus said we don't pay attention to the first part of the book anymore, and that was in the first part of the book, so YOLO. So it's like fucking this time period, if you want to get into just absolutely batshit practices within Christianity, just the Middle Ages, particularly around like saints.
They get wonky.
Fucking insane. There's fucking some of my favorites were various nuns and lady saints who married Jesus by getting circumcision rings. So they had foreskin like wedding bands to signify their marriage to Jesus.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's wild shit.
Would they do just like leather, like tan it?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. Just they ripped off the tip of some guy's dick and they went, I'm married to God.
Yoink.
Yeah.
That's so weird. I'm not sure how they got there mentally. I mean, I appreciate the effort.
Yeah, it's one of those, when you learn about the actual history, the movie The Devils is like not shocking at all. You're like, this is weirdly historically accurate. Blood in terms of VTM, obviously blood is a requirement for the survival of your vampire. I have played characters that purposely starved themselves for various reasons. If you like your game on hard mode, sure. I don't if you want vibe times, I don't recommend doing that.
I feel like it's bad enough if you play a character who like won't kill to drink and so they're permanently just down a hunger box. Like that's already making things hard enough.
Yeah. Oh, well, the character that was starving themselves on purpose, I was in a game where the plot of the crux of the game was the coterie was made up of very rare bloodlines. And we were a coterie because this Methuselah was just wanting to collect weird rare bloodlines to like study them. And so we were just forced to, like, cohabitate and live together. And I was playing a Niktuku, and I took exception to this constantly. So I would just purposely starve myself. But because I was a Niktuku, I just became a threat to everybody else massively. So I was just endangering the entire project. And that was, like, one of the only ways I could really fuck with the Methuselah at all.
Right.
Was either to starve myself and threaten the entire project, or threaten to kill myself, because Niktukus are just really hard to get. And I was like, I'll walk into the sun, fuck you. Which, that storyteller was like, I'm not used to players that are cool with killing themselves. Which, you know. I was like, well, I mean, let me go outside when I want. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm good at bratting, fuck you. But yeah, some small notes from the Slaking Hunger table in the core book, page 212. So, most humans have 5 hunger rankings within them. And it takes 5 turns to drain them fully if done quickly. This means you're not caring about their health and safety, obviously, because this will kill them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I forget, just for reference here, about how long in-game is a round. It's flexible? Or
It's flexible. Yeah, turns generally, it's like 6 to 10 seconds.
Okay. So it's about a minute to drain someone fully.
Yeah, but it's also a lot of these timey-wimey things are kind of the speed of plot. So if you want it to go like super fast, I know that there's I think it's a protean discipline that lets you drain things like super, super fast.
I think it's potence.
Potence, that's what it is, potence.
I think that's just something to keep in mind, because in a lot of games I've played in, people tend to like sit pretty quick. Whereas like if you think about it, the way this is laid out, if you're fully draining someone or draining someone as safely as you can, like stopping at the last moment, that's still going to take like 50 for like half a minute.
Yeah,
like, that's a lot of time in like.
Yeah, if you want to feel how long it is, just like set a minute timer and then just sit there in silence and understand that by the end of this you've killed somebody. And just be like, oh, that's uncomfy.
Or just sit with a bottle of wine and drink.
Yeah,
for a minute.
Just get yourself a gallon of milk and set a 1 minute timer and just see how much of it you can chug.
Get a trash can.
Be near the
bathtub. I'd recommend
do it in the bathtub.
I'd recommend sticking with the bag of wine on that one.
Yeah,
maybe not the milk.
Well, blood's viscous though.
Yeah, I mean,
you
get a nice dry red.
Get yourself a gallon of strawberry syrup.
Ew.
Get yourself a handle of
You could do like a sweet strawberry wine. That gets very viscous.
Jaeger.
Oh, God.
It's got blood in it. Well, not anymore.
No, it doesn't.
Not anymore.
I will say on the strawberry syrup thing, if you're doing any costuming, Photoshoppy, whatever for blood, what I do for prop blood most times is I take strawberry syrup and I add just a tiny smidgen of cocoa powder, and it looks directly like fresh blood, and it actually tastes good.
Yeah, it's cool.
It might stain your skin and clothes depending on what syrup you use. If you're worried about staining, you can do food coloring and soap.
Yeah.
I can share my recipes on the Discord later. But yes, back to the notes on the hunger feeding things. So with this harmful feeding, it does note that the aggravated damage to the mortal will be equal to the hunger slaked. The human can roll strength and resolve against the difficulty, which is equal to the hunger that is slaked, to survive the blood loss.
Damn.
So if you really want to play into the, you're killing a person and it's causing damage and you should feel bad about this, there's rules for that. I feel like a lot of us kind of hand wave that, yeah, you just drained a guy, it's fine, whatever. And not really getting into the morality of the thing, which is literally the crux of the whole game, but, you know, I'm not complaining. Anyways, if you want to do the less harmful forms of feeding, as Hunter pointed out, it is going to take way more time. So 1 sip is roughly 1 hunger, and to do it in a way that doesn't harm a person, it'll take 3 turns.
So that's still about 30 seconds for a single hunger dot.
Yeah, which is not the
not
worst amount of
unreasonable,
time, but that's definitely enough time to somebody to walk into the room and go, oh,
What are you guys doing?
what are you doing in here? Just get really weird with it, and you're just like, well, I know I shouldn't be going for the thigh artery, but hear me out. The book does stipulate the maximum non-harmful drink you can get from a human is 2 hunger, and this can take basically a whole scene to do, and do it in a way that doesn't hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're willing to spend the time or waste the time or however you want to view it and do it that way, cool. Otherwise, you're going to fall into the, oh no, they take damage. And both
That really helps, knowing that helps with the new Toreador Bane, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can just be like, I'm just going to take my fucking time and
Yeah.
be careful with these people, instead of being like, because from what I remember when we talked about it, it's like, no, you're hurting them. You are taking their fucking blood no matter what.
Yeah, like people need blood to live.
Yeah, but it kind of makes more sense if you just take your time and make like it's a scene essentially. Then,
Mhm.
Yeah, essentially you just can't quick sip at all.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
at
And-
fucking all.
And you need to source multiple sources of blood if you need more than 2 dots.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the final button on the not causing the harm thing is you need to lick the wound closed.
Of course.
Yeah,
That's just common courtesy.
because I have, as a storyteller, been a dick and been like, well, you didn't say you licked the wound closed. So, like, they felt good. They had a good time, but they've still got this, like, weird bite mark on them now that now you have to explain because you didn't do your due diligence. Oopsies. Oopsie poodle.
I would think for me, I would depend on depend on the character, honestly.
Yeah.
Too. 'Cause if it's a new character, probably for sure.
Yeah.
If it's a character that's been around for like 130 years,
It also,
Oh,
I
not
think, would
quite as
depend
much.
on if the character's, like, making such a point of taking their time and not hurting people, but I'm like, if you're still missing the due diligence,
Mm.
or if you have a character that is being sloppy, you can use that as a way to be like, you're still being sloppy. You still got to remember these things.
Mhm.
Or if somebody's getting a little out of pocket, you need to rein them in just because you're like, I, just based on the lore of the world, can't not punish you for these ridiculous things you're doing. So it's like,
Right.
not only did you hurt this person, you didn't lick the wound closed, so they just have this big fucking gash on them that definitely looks like somebody bit them. So, like, good job.
right?
So, playing at your speed of plot.
Mm-hmm.
Da-da-da. Kind of fun fact, the amount of blood in a person will depend on their body size.
Yeah.
So, an average person that is between 150 and 180 pounds will have approximately 1.2 to 1.5 gallons of blood, which, for the rest of the planet, 68 to 82 kilos roughly has 4.5 to 5.7 liters. And that's how much blood you'll have roughly in your body to blood volume. So, if you get into points in games where you have these kind of nitty-gritty infos, here you go. I understand most people are not like me, where I'm like, I like to play investigative, like, forensics characters, so I'm just like, well, obviously the body is missing this amount of blood, so blah, 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 blah.
Cows have a lot of blood.
Cows have a lot of blood. There are rules for if you're wanting to feed off of a horse, which you apparently can get, like, 2 hunger from fairly easy, but it takes a long time, because I think it's just you're trying to not spook the horse.
Right, because horses probably don't really like that.
And it's also a lot of blood.
You wonder if it like feels good for the horse.
I would assume, unless you're Hakata.
Yeah.
But you're also undead,
Then
so
you
you have
should-
to wrangle the horse first.
Yeah. Especially if you're Hakata, you should probably be real careful about feeding off a horse. Horse will kick you and fuck you up.
Goes to feed from horse. Use like 2 hunger from horse. Horse kicked you. You take 1 ag.
Your ribs are caved in.
Yeah, I know technically it should be bashing, but I'm sitting there going like, I know how hard horses kick. That's one of the handful of things where I'm like, I might just go that to ag immediately.
Absolutely. You die from getting kicked by a horse.
So, with these rough maths, a hunger rating of blood can be a little bit more than a quart or a little bit more than a liter of blood.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just a rough guesstimate.
I like it.
Yeah, no, which is roughly how much you take in units of donation. You donate like usually a pint or 2 before you get woozly, and they give you extra orange juice. So it worked out. Hooray! Note also, losing a large amount of blood quickly can cause what is known as hemorrhagic shock.
That doesn't sound good.
No, it's bad. This is broken up into 4 classes of shock, with the 4th state being possibly fatal.
Is it barbarian, ranger, warlock, and then, well, probably bard?
The
Usually
skill
the
makes so little sense to me.
No, but I love it.
Well, I'm thinking barbarian, there's a lot of health there.
Yeah.
They have a lot of hit points.
Mm-hmm.
The ranger,
A little bit less.
a little bit less, but still sturdy and hardy. He lives out in the fucking woods, so he's got to be sturdy. And then a warlock, well, you're starting to deal with some pretty spicy stuff here. You better be careful.
Mm-hmm.
And then a bard, like 80% of the action a bard takes generally will lead to death if you're not careful.
Yes, so stage 4 of hemorrhagic shock has blood volume loss at greater than 40%.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of blood.
For many adults,
That's
this
5%
is...
of your body weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For many adults, this is roughly 2 liters or half a gallon.
That is a significant portion of blood.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
that's a lot. So, when people are describing scenes where they're like, oh, this character's bleeding out, I'm like, you really should be emphasizing the just sheer amount of fluid just everywhere, because that's a lot.
Yeah.
Remember that gallon of milk we talked about earlier?
Yeah, just drop that on the floor. That's 2 people bleeding to death.
Yep.
Yeah. So...
But then you got to think, they're probably not just standing there letting it drop on the floor.
No, they're probably
moving
flailing and choking and screaming and
Yeah.
It's
a mess.
it is a huge mess.
You're going to have to replace the carpet.
Fucking the vampire cleanup crews, like, they charge a lot for a reason. Because this is ridiculous.
And then you just have one Hakata come in with that one Oblivion power and just suck it all up. Be like, thanks for the meal. And then that'll be, 10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
I loved having that ability with the Niktuku because they also had the Alucard, like, pull the blood towards you power if you just stand in the middle of a room.
Mm-hmm.
It was so good.
Very cool.
I bullied everybody else in the coterie because they just make messes, and I'm just like, fuck you guys.
Love it.
Fine.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
So, that is blood from a person. If you have bagged blood, because people try to go, aha, loophole. If the blood is bagged and I'm not actively seeing a person, I'm not causing harm. And I'm like, that's not true. But unprocessed bagged blood gives 1 hunger per bag, according to the Raw. They offer no resonances and does not remove hunger for those who have higher or blood potency higher than 2. So 2 and up. Bagged blood, you're just like, I can have it, but it's not doing anything. It's like eating rice cakes.
Yeah.
Ken is struggling. Ken is struggling, and then Ada the Thin Blood is just drinking, like, corpse blood out of a reused Starbucks cup. Like a fucking psycho. She's like, it's cold. I don't like it, but, eh.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
It's like, this is the most ethical way I can do it. It's going down the drain anyways. Yeah.
Next note is rough.
Yeah. So, another note, I feel like people forget when they're just like, I'll just buy bagged blood, whatever. Without the Iron Gullet merit, vampires gain no sustenance from processed blood. So blood that has been spun and fractionated and turned into blood products, unless you have Iron Gullet, no.
It's a lot of bagged blood.
Most
if you find...
bagged blood is processed.
Yeah. They're at least removing the white blood cells from it for other usage.
Yeah, that's like they might be fractionating it for other purposes, testing. Sometimes they'll put that there are like very mild like preservatives they'll put in black blood to make it more shelf stable for the blood banks. But also if you're actually taking blood from blood banks, I'm like, you are potentially killing people still.
Yeah, just not directly this time.
And then if you're buying from the circulatory system, who knows where that's actually coming from, because those donations probably are not donations.
Almost definitely not donations.
Almost definitely not actual donations. There is a note, and this is where I had the information earlier in the episode, from the book. Bagged blood, like all blood, more than about 15 minutes out of the body, has no resonance or empowering effects to the drinker. Although, Tremere and Thin Blood alchemists can sometimes still use bagged blood and blood products in their rituals and formulae.
Oh, that's cool.
The act of blood sorcery rituals or distillation awakens this latent resonance, but consumes it in that instant. So you can use it for the ritual component, but you can't just be like, I start to use it in the component and then slam it.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that's why I'm just like, 15 minutes to about, 2 hours, based on my understanding of livor mortis, I feel like is a fair, if the blood's just loosen out of the body, but your character's just like, I'm gonna lick it.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Or the person's dead.
Yeah.
And you're gonna just drink from the dead person.
I'm like, well, they're freshly dead, so I guess that's fine, but beyond that point, then it's like, you better have iron gullet, my guy, or be the predator type that's specifically, I feed off corpses.
Good job, guy.
Because the corpses don't scream.
Does that one come with iron gullet?
I believe that does. I know Bagger does as well, which is super helpful.
Yeah, it would be useless if it would be like the worst feeding type if it didn't come with that.
Right? Oh, it's so good. But yeah, that's where we are with that. If people have further questions about blood and feeding, I have some notes because we've covered a bunch of shit already. If you want further information on the hunger dice system, we have the episode 2. Dice, where we also talk about hunger and feeding stuff. If you want to talk more information about resonances, we've already done that. It's episode 9. It's called Resonances.
Wow.
If you have more questions about predator types and how that might affect your access to feeding and blood information, episode 18, Predator Types.
Yeah.
And if you have questions about feeding scenes and how to run those and weird squicky things that could come up in a feeding scene. Episode 19, feeding.
It's a trick that we didn't have scenes at the end of that time.
We did throw you guys off. So, blood. There were gallons of the stuff.
There are many gallons of the stuff.
No, and it will never be enough.
Like corn.
Oh, god damn it. Okay, so, any other blood questions, concern, thoughts?
I think that's the only other thing I looked up that we talked about in the server that would be worth looking up in your area is blood is fucking expensive.
If you're just straight buying it up?
Yeah, if you're trying to go through a medical route and be I'm gonna buy...
If you're a
blood.
bagger who purchases their bags instead of stealing them,
yeah, if you're not
you're gonna need dots and resources.
So, a pint of whole blood is equivalent to 473 milliliters. But I'm trying to remember the price. The pricing gets really, really complicated because usually they don't sell whole blood. Before blood is actually sold, it's separated into its base
products,
components.
Yeah.
And then they sell the parts.
And if you need whole blood, do they just put it back together?
I would assume you could get just whole blood, but usually because that's the least shelf stable, they just tend to not.
Okay. So this is why transfusions are so expensive. So it can range from $200 to $300 per pint of blood.
Pint.
To total as much as $3,000 or more when adding in overhead costs such as storage and transportation for a transfusion. So if you're buying just red blood cell product right now, it can range from $130 to $150, and that is an old article. I am guaranteeing you it's gone up in price since what I'm looking at. I can't find anything. It was nearly $40 each pint of whole blood in 2010, so I can't imagine how much it is now.
God, yeah, just inflation, let me tell you guys.
Just in case you didn't know.
Right. Oh!
It's a kick in the dick.
There was also another thing I meant to make a note on, and I apologize, but fun little end fact, especially... I appreciate you. Especially in light of W5 now being a thing, and there's probably going to be werewolf vampire crossover games more. Werewolf blood. You can drink it. I don't recommend it, though, because it is apparently rich in anger and power and things. So one sip of werewolf blood will slake 2 hunger, Training a werewolf dry can reduce your hunger to 0 for 2 vampires if they share the kill.
Damn.
However, the supernatural power of the werewolf blood can also be dangerous.
Yes.
A vampire who feasts on werewolf blood is far more susceptible to frenzy. Every point of hunger slaked with werewolf blood increases the difficulty to resist frenzy by 1.
For how long? As long as it's in their system, essentially? Next time they feed?
Even if the vampire successfully staves off their beast, they become paranoid and short-tempered for as long as the blood remains in their system.
Oh, damn.
So probably until either you go back to hunger 5 or you drink something else. Kind of like how resonants are, where you can just, as long as you manage your stuff, yeah, you can kind of float around with that dyscrasia for a hot second. In some cases, the vampire can gain the temporary compulsions from feasting on particularly volatile werebeasts. I like that even in the core book, they were hinting that there were other shifters outside of werewolves, which is exciting. For note purposes, lupine blood mixes animal with caloric resonances and is usually intense. Alchemist prizes for its high mixability with other ingredients. It adds 2 successes to any distillation rolls for formula. So it makes your formula go good, but it's also spicy. It's
also spicy.
Which, also in light of the Blood Sigils book, have fun ganking werewolf blood and juicing up your homies.
Yeah, we don't have rules for it yet. I think it's worth noting, we've talked about it before, that also drinking changeling blood, really bad idea.
You're gonna be high as fuck.
Not only does it work kind of like an hallucinogen / you might be seeing into other realities, it is also incredibly addictive. I think we talked about it in our Book of Nod episode, because it's one of those things where you're just not supposed to do. Like, even Kane was like, don't do it. Don't drink werewolves or changelings.
Yeah, in the old school lore, the rules for mage blood drinking is wonky. Because in some sets of the rules, mages count as mortals, so it's just people blood, whatever. And then other times, mage blood is kind of tempered by their magical abilities and the effects it can have, or high strangeness, and can range from just like what is described as a dyscrasia now to almost as intense as like changeling or werewolf blood, depending on what the fuck's going on and the mage involved. So
I like
have fun with that.
Both. I like keeping them as like a grab bag if you don't know what's going to happen. If you have mages in your game who are at threat of getting drunk, that is just a fun random bag to throw at your players. I would base it on like their power and their personal belief system, and like
I had an interesting mix about that with the LARP, which is why I looked into this, because I decided to even though it's a V20 LARP, to play a consensualist. I just think it's interesting. And I was like, the only consensual human I can drink from is a mage, because if I talk to a mage about magic shit, I'm not breaking Masquerade. Perfect! So I drank from some of the mages in the game, and it was, sometimes nothing happened, other times my ass was knocked the fuck out for 4 nights, and I was just like, well, that happened. Are we best friends now? Thank you for not letting me burn in the sun and crash at your house. I don't know what happened. That was crazy. So, have fun!
Wildness.
Yeah, so that's blood. Blood.
Gallons and gallons of blood. And sick.
Father.
Anyway, yeah, I think that's a good note. So we're moving forward to standard podcast ending things, but I
like that you announced that, Hunter. I appreciate it.
Well,
I just didn't announcing that we are transitioning to a new section of the podcast.
Yeah. Well, we have some announcements to make.
Announcements.
Yeah, so we did our corn stream and documentary last week. The stream is up if you want to watch it. I am going to be uploading the corn documentary, slightly edited, for upload soon, so keep your eyes out for that. But thanks again for everyone who joined us. It was a lot of fun, and I'm hopefully by now we'll have gotten a hold of everyone for shipping, and if I haven't got a hold of you and you want something, please message me. But I should have everyone's emails from the Patreon, so those will be going out. I'll be asking for information on that soon. We are also coming up on the end of the year, so we're kind of wrapping things up. My goal, mentioning W5, is I am in the process of actually running it, so we can do an episode about it. I'm hoping to start the new year with some werewolf, so that'll be fun. Werewolves of London. It won't be set in London, though, probably.
Yeah, fuck no.
I'll just read the book and talk about it.
Are you sure? Because we could all be American, and we could be in London.
Ooh.
I've been to London. It's a little underwhelming.
But we could be American werewolves in London.
That's true. I do like that movie.
It's very good.
It's a very good
I
movie.
saw the sequel. It's not good.
No, it
Was
is
the
not.
American Werewolf in Paris?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
real bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was the big thing I wanted to mention going forward. But also, thanks, Paralyze.
For Muzak.
Yeah, thank you.
Hell yeah.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Also, we are on social medias. We're on Twitter at _bodies. We're Instagram at blankbodiespod.
Mm-hmm.
And on TikTok at Blank Bodies Podcast. Those are the main three we use. So
Mm-hmm.
they're each run by a separate person. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Guess who?
You got to figure it out.
Can you guess who?
Technically,
it's a mystery.
Technically, I have access to all three, but
Yeah.
but we also have a Patreon. So if you want to join us on there, we have all kinds of tiers. Everything from getting yourself a Discord title to show notes to character sketches to blood. And we also do bonus Patreon episodes, and those are available for anyone who donates $5 or more.
Mm-hmm.
So if you donate to our Patreon, you get some bonus episodes. You get a new one a month. There should be a new one up next week. It will be our November episode.
Yes, and there'll be also polls to help us do the show, because I do need some help with doing stuff for the Bruja episode, because you guys left them last.
Yeah, Bruja last, so you get a different way to put
Help.
your say
Yes.
in.
I feel called out. But it's fine.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a fun, sassy thing to say about Bruja being last, but I feel like it just kind of says it itself.
I'm honestly surprised that
Me
they
too.
came last.
I'm so
Me too,
surprised.
me too.
I don't know
They-
how this happened.
They're kind of like a staple favorite
Mm-hmm.
just
Well,
for people, I feel like.
It was interesting because early in the polls, they were always coming in like
Second.
or third.
Mhm.
And then when we moved off Twitter, because Twitter went to awful places.
Just evil.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they just
like,
like
legit
dropped
evil.
off the poll
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
So I guess our listeners are not the Bruja people. I guess is that what they says, or not their favorite,
That's
or
fine.
maybe they just know about the Bruja already.
They're just like,
so
I feel
maybe
like
they're
I
like,
know, so I just want to ask about other things.
yeah,
Yeah, which is valid.
I don't know.
Well, too bad for you. We're doing Bruja next month or whenever.
Or, the end of year.
End of the year.
Bruja Christmas.
Bruja Christmas. Get over it.
Bruja Christmas. Bruja Christmas.
Don't bring the Christmas tree in. Don't put up any fragile decorations. They will pick them up. They will throw them.
And
Their
Bruja
leather
Christmas-
jackets will bump into things
Bruja
and
Christmas
break.
is why you put the Christmas tree on the ceiling. It's for the Bruja and the cats. Keep them from getting into the ornaments.
I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
yeah. See ya.
Mwah. I
Love.
love you.